I'm your host, Patrick Swanson. Thanks for joining us this week. With me today is Joe Alva, or Joe Alva. We'll be talking about the Thursday night game on tonight. We have New York Jets against Denver Broncos, as well as going over some other games in the NFL. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
Thanks for having me, man. A huge fan of the show. For those that are watching, dreams do come true. This is a huge building block for the two of us, so can't wait.
And we're on location on Swanson on Sports at Best Buy Valparaiso, so we are both part-time employees at Best Buy, but we're glad to give you the sports action. Focus on football on this week's show. So tonight's game, Thursday night football, we got the Thursday night games again, which is always exciting. Jets up Broncos. What are your thoughts on this game? What are your expectations or keys to victory you see for both teams, I guess, or anything you're looking at?
So right away, you got to start with the man himself, and you got to start going it. So are you a believer or are you a skeptic?
I'm a skeptic right now in Tim Tebow, I have to say. There is no question he's a great runner and very athletic, mobile. I really got to see more out of his passing game before I really become a believer. He won the game last week going 2 for 8 on pass completions, and that's just unheard of in today's NFL. But I definitely think he's got the speed and the athleticism. I want to see more of that vertical passing game from Denver.
So I wasn't personally the biggest fan of the system that they ran in Florida with them. Obviously very similar to the system. What I don't like is the hypocrites basically saying that you often hear play to your team's strengths and to your players' strengths, and that's exactly what John Fox is doing in Denver. And however, they're being ridiculed for the exact same thing. So what I would like to see, and this is obviously something I say still a shot in the dark with a young and I think an overachieving team that's really, I guess, understaffed in terms of the talent department, especially with the injuries coming to McGahee and then also to Noshawn Moreno just last week. So we'll see what they're able to do. I know Rex Ryan never fails to motivate on both sides of the ball.
They're definitely motivated after that loss to New England. I mean, they're 5-4. Big loss to their division rival. If they want to stay in this wild card match, up for the wild card in the AFC, which you assume you got to get 11 wins to get to the.
Well, in the meantime, too,
yeah.
Things to consider. I mean, you have in terms of division and not looking at their upcoming schedule, you do have lowly Miami sitting in a division. Obviously, a team that's clearly in rebuilding mode.
Yes.
I think the Jets have hit the harder part of their schedule already. The fact that they're still alive is fantastic, and they haven't completely collapsed, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles.
There's their upcoming, talk about their schedule. That's a good segue to go into this. They're going to host Buffalo after the Broncos the 27th. Then the 4th, they're going to be on the road at Washington, hosting Kansas City. They got the Eagles, a December 24th game against the Giants that they're hosting, and then they're at Miami. So the one that really, 2 games kind of jump out right now, and that's the Bills game. The Bills have been surprising this year, and the Giants. The Eagles have been very disappointing. The Chiefs have been up and down. So it's a pretty soft schedule, and you're right, they have got through the tougher part from their games against the Ravens, both games against the Pats. So, it's definitely getting easier.
No doubt. I think they at least squeak this one out in Denver. I definitely see Denver giving them a run for their money when it's all said and done. However, I still tip my hat towards to Rex's Jets.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, let's look at some of the other games we got coming on. 2 other games besides the Bears games we'll get to last that look interesting this week are Titans at Falcons and Bengals at Ravens. Which one did you want to start
right
with?
away, you got to start with what type of product is Atlanta going to come out with this week. Obviously, with the huge 4th and inches in overtime call.
Yeah, that was what did you think of that call? Were you supportive of that decision? Because there's been a lot of criticism. Okay.
So in terms of being supportive of the decision, yes, it's absolutely right. If you can't convert on a 4th and inches, you probably don't deserve to be in the field. And obviously, it kind of makes you question. However, on the flip side, it is overtime.
Yeah.
You are on your side of the field here. Where there was, I think, a lot more to lose than to gain in that regard.
Yeah.
Because had you been on the 29, of the opposing defense, then it may have been an entirely different story and more worthwhile.
I definitely fall on the latter side of the argument, seeing that he's got more to lose. But I could see the point of view. You're a team that wants to run the ball. Yeah, you're confident in your running game. You figure you can get a couple inches. But yeah, it definitely was the deciding play in the game. That's for sure. As for the matchup, though, do you favor the Titans, or do you kind of like Ryan and the Falcons coming?
Well,
in?
Again, it's almost taking the coin flip. Which Tennessee Titan offensive line, and more importantly, which Chris Johnson are you going to see? Last week, just with the flip of the switch, we saw a huge flash of exactly what got him that big contract. Up to this point, has been a huge disappointment. We'll see if he can take the momentum and, as we say, hit the ground running.
Should be a good one. Well, then our next games, I want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals taking on Baltimore Ravens. It's in Baltimore. It's a pair of 6-3 teams. Two teams with one team kind of built around the air and their rookie quarterback, Dalton. The other team getting it done with defense and a solid running game in Baltimore.
So we spoke earlier about the New York Jets and the strength of schedule ahead for them. Well, it's almost a 360 in terms of the Cincinnati Bengals. Very overachieving team up to this point. A lot of young talent and a lot to grow, going forward. But this is where you kind of hit that wall. Again, you hit it on the head. You have Baltimore, who's had a staple of a defense for the last decade.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything changing. I see him kind of picking apart this young A.J. Green and Andy Dalton combo.
It's definitely a fun combo. It's kind of like we saw earlier with the beginning of Chad Ochocinco and Carson Palmer. It looks like the second phase of that coming in Cincinnati. Very exciting offense. Well, turning to our local audience, we have the San Diego Chargers, Christy Switkowski's favorite team, going up against the Chicago Bears. San Diego's definitely underperformed this year. Chicago Bears, have they overperformed? Are they playing over their heads? Are they going to get a wake up? What do you expect for this battle on the lakefront today?
I definitely see Chicago, who's, we'll say it, pay forte.
Yeah.
So, enough said. Honestly, when you dive into the numbers, you realize that this is their go-to guy in any situation. I believe I was looking at it in close games. He's actually projected to get the ball 50% of the time, which
is unusual in a Mart's offense. Would you say?
Absolutely. This is few and far between from the greatest show on turf. However, I think they're finally firing on all cylinders. We're in year 3 of the Mart's project, so this is about the same time you'd want to see those results. Offensive line taking a hit with Chris Williams going on IR this week. So we'll see how they rotate the offensive line. Again, they've had plenty of practice up to this point. So I still see them with a struggling San Diego team. I think if they were on the road, I think San Diego would stand a higher chance of...
They definitely play better at home. San Diego's a team that's very puzzling. They've gotten off to poor starts in a lot of their games, been chasing points. They've had some great chances. They almost had a near comeback against Green Bay. They looked to be dead and buried in that game, trailing by 21 points. They cut it down to 7 in the last 2 minutes, but Phillip Rivers, the turnovers, interceptions just plagued him this season.
Well, and you got to wonder, too, is Vincent Jackson, is this his last season in a Chargers uniform? You see, Antonio Gates, they don't seem to have a rhythm quite yet. With Phillip Rivers just obviously decimated by injuries early, with both Jackson on a suspension and then obviously Antonio Gates being hurt. And if you watched the remainder of last week's game with them, and they kind of quit on some routes, so you're wondering, what's going on in San Diego.
Yeah, it should be a fun game. It's going to be a late start. Going to get game. Probably not the game of the week. It might be CBS's game of the week. It's on CBS because of an AFC team, so that'll be a 3:15 Central start at Soldier Field. San Diego Chargers coming forward 5, Bears 6-3. Well, I'd like to thank my guest co-host today, Joe Alva. Always a pleasure. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Appreciate it.
This has been Swanson on Sports. Remember, always keep living the dream.